World News Tonight anchor David Muir, who is in Paris. David, good morning. And what are you learning so far from that area in Saint-Denis?
Well, Saint-Denis, just for our viewers who are familiar with Paris, is north of Paris. It's a northern suburb, not real far from Charles de Gaulle Airport. This operation has been underway since about 4:20 in the morning Paris time. You can still see a heavy police presence here. The operation is still ongoing, and witnesses here described the loud bangs here this morning. They went to their windows. She and her husband were holed up in their bathroom for quite some time, for several hours here this morning, as they heard the noise and the explosions outside their apartment. We do know that 5 people have been arrested. 3 inside the apartment in question, and 2 more, a man and a woman, not far from that apartment. They have not released identities or their connection, if there's any connection, to the Paris attacks. We do know that the operation was underway because they are in search of Abdelhamid Aboud, who is considered the mastermind of all these coordinated attacks. They have not said yet whether or not he was in fact here at this location.
Pretty surprising, because as early as Tuesday, we know French and American intelligence believe that the terror mastermind, the suspected terror mastermind, was actually in Syria. How surprised are people to hear that he potentially could be in France?
And, you know, as we went on the air last night with World News Tonight, we learned of yet a second fugitive who could be yet the 9th attacker. As you say, Rena, they also want to find this mastermind, and if in fact he is here in Paris, that would be a significant headline this morning.
And David, it does appear that things have calmed down a little bit where you are in Place Victor Hugo, but I'm curious, how tense has the city been? You've been there since shortly after all of these attacks took place. How tense has this city been?
Well, you know, I think it's been quite tense.
David, we're getting some new video in right now. We had heard overnight that the police raid had slowly come to an end. We're seeing more of a heavy police presence.
They are heavily armed SWAT teams. This morning there was a line of ambulances, a convoy arriving a short time ago, our Alex Marquardt reported seeing. So this is still a very active situation.
David, you were here just after 9/11 in New York. How does it compare? I think of President Bush with that bullhorn right at 9/11 at Ground Zero. I think about Broadway, how they were so adamant about getting everyone back. But it doesn't seem to be, in the days after the attacks in Paris, that same sense of resilience. It still feels very much like a nation under attack.
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of people here, you know, invoke 9/11 when they talk about what's needed to not only take on the attackers, but to come together as a nation. And, you know, when I mentioned going to the Eiffel Tower, there were so many American families, and in fact, one mother who had just moved her family here from California 2 months ago, she said, you know, they still remember 9/11 vividly, as we all do back in the U.S. She said she remembered waking up that morning to 9/11, and here in Paris, going to bed to the terror attacks here. They very much consider, you know, all of Europe. In fact, the Greek defense minister said in the last 24 hours that this is Europe's 9/11, which is why you see the French President Hollande invoking a rarely used article in a treaty of the European Union saying we must all fight ISIS now. The airstrikes over the last couple of days, and now, of course, Russia, Vladimir Putin, cooperating with the French with their own set of strikes. And if you remember, I mean, I was in Boston reporting back then, and of course at Ground Zero, that America was very tense for many weeks after the initial attacks.
Absolutely, and tense days and weeks ahead as well for the people of Paris and France. World News Tonight anchor David Muir, thank you.